Hello everyone, hope you're all enjoying your break, your holidays. Today we're looking at something that was requested by Jason. He asked to look at the mob spawners, and although this mod that we're looking at probably technically isn't a spawner, the thing that I showed you over here in this building in my original base is more of a spawner. This does get the loot from some hard to find mobs and hard to kill, so it's extremely practical. Also going to kind of count this as a 50 subscriber special, as people have asked me to do. So if you hang around to the end of the video, and please don't spoil it for everyone else, there will be something special and may or may not have to do with Discord. Alright, so what I want to do is we want to show you something that is a lot easier than doing this. Alright, and while this is easy to set up, and it is very practical, particularly in the early game, it doesn't really work for things that are very hard to get spawners for. So at the moment I've got it for blazes, and that's very practical, but I also set it up for zombies in the early game just to get the pink slime. Okay, but particularly when you're trying to farm things like wither skeletons, alright, so that you can get the skulls, and then so that you can actually farm the withers without having to fight them every time. And it's this mod called Woot. So these 4 blocks here are all from that mod. Right, and these blocks are just to create a lot of the things that you need. So I have 2 injection presses. Alright, so these 2 blocks here are both injection presses, and they're both used for different things. This one inputs dye into it, so you can use flowers and you put the petals in and it outputs a certain amount of red, yellow, blue and white, and it makes pure dye fluid, and you use that to make some of the blocks in Woot. And then this one's the same thing, except it's an enchant liquid-fire, so you put in any item that is enchanted. Alright, it can even be a book. In fact, a book's probably the most practical and the easiest to use, and it creates liquid enchant. Alright, and that's used to make certain blocks. If we look at the mod list. Alright, so here's a bunch of the things that are in Woot. And once you do that, and I'll go show you what the actual buildings look like, or the blocks when they're put together. So that's what these 2 things are here. So I have 2 of the machines going at the moment. Alright, and they do level up. So you can see this is a level 5 one. So it goes from 1 to 5, and that's because I need it to be the highest level to farm the withers that's I'm doing at the moment, because I really wanted the nether stars. The other loot, not so much. So you can see in here, it's really practical. It shows you everything that's going on. Alright, this is pretty slow for this block because it's really difficult to do, and also because I'm getting the wither gas from it as well, because I use that to make some stuff from another mod. This one is also increasing the loot drop. Alright, this is increasing the spawn time, and this is also making it spawn twice at once as well, which is why it's taking even longer. And I don't know what just hit me. Okay, so that's why this tick is really slow, because it's doing two mobs at once. And I could actually put this up to Rampage 3. This is only Rampage 1, but all these perks go up to level 3. So you can see that this one's scale the summit 3. These ones are all 1, but I could also make them up to 3. But I don't really need to do that. If I look up, I have 2,428 nether stars. I don't really need to worry about it too much at this stage. Okay, so this when it's put together, creates an extremely large, don't know what that guy's doing, extremely large multi-block structure. Alright, so I had to clear out this huge amount of space, and this is only half of it. When we actually go underneath, and I'll show you that in a second, a lot of this is actually underground. The reason why it's like this is because it does require water. So I talked about water in the previous episode that comes from here, and it also flows into this multi-block structure. And then this is a second one. So there's actually two of them. These are not connected, even though it might look like it. This is the second one. And this is one level lower. All right, this is only level 4. And this one's actually got a wither skeleton as its controller. So it's producing wither skeletons for me so that I can get the wither skeleton skulls. So one of my perks here is the head start perk, which gives me an 80% chance to drop a skull. And I need that because, as you can see here, there's nothing here that it requires. And you can also see here the tick is much higher because this is a much easier mob to generate. All right, it's also got level 3 in all of the perks. So you can see it does 6 mobs at a time. All right, spawn time is reduced by 75%, and it increased loot drop. All right, so you can see it's ticking over very, very quickly for this. All right, I really don't want any of the other stuff except for the wither skeleton skulls, sorry. And the fragments are also useful because it actually, if you get 9 of these, you'd actually make a wither skeleton skull. All right, so this is that one. And these were reasonably hard to make because you need to progress through all of the different levels. So you have to start at level 1, and once you get it, there's this hammer. It's called an intern. It actually shows you what you need to make each level. So you can see to build the level 1, you need those blocks that are there. And then to get each higher level, you need these essences, which can be very hard to get at the start. You can only get them from these multi-block structures. So they're only available by running these, and you need another perk slot, and these are the perk slots. So they just sit on each of the 4 sides, and you just put them in. But those essences are only available through these. So I ran very basic ones to start with. It would have been like a zombie one, because you need the rotten flesh, which I'll show you in a second. And I might have run a skeleton one or something else, but I would have started with just one and gone from there. So you can see here, this one actually needs items for it to actually generate the loot. So it needs wither skeletons, skulls, and it needs soul sand, right? Which can be a bit tricky, particularly to start off with. It was a lot of farming in the nether to get all the soul sand and to get the wither skeleton skulls. Now these, you can't just build a controller with a wither, and you can't just build a controller with a wither skeleton. You actually need, and it's one of these, the mob shard. You need to fill it with 5 of that particular mob that you want to start to generate loot from. So you have to actually go and kill 5 wither skeletons, and you have to kill 5 withers to be able to get that. So it can be a little bit tricky. All right, let me show you the bottom of these multi-block structures. And of course, there's more mobs. Only thing about my sword is that it's so heavy I can't move when I have it out. Okay, so let me just get these out of my hotbar. So this is the underside of that first one, the level 5 structure. And I need my jetpack to get over. And this is the underside of the level 4 one. So as you can see, these liquid pipes here, or fluid pipes, are pulling the water in. And you can use a lot of different things for this here. If you use the recipes, you can see you can use some of the essences. At the moment, we're trying to get purge fluid. So you can use bones. Okay, you can use some of these essences, but we want purge fluid, not Canadas. So you got rotten flesh. All right, I'm using ender pearls at the moment because I have heaps, because I was running one of these as an enderman one. All right, and then so it generates that to create this purge fluid, which flows into this one, which creates Canadas fluid with redstone dust. And as you saw, there were a few other things that also do it too. But it flows to make that, and that's what it requires into this block here, which is called the Canadas cell. And then this one here is the loot exporter, and this one is the ingredient importer. So I don't need any ingredients for this one, so that's why there's no hopper or chest next to it. But I do want to export the loot straight into my ME system, which we talked about last time. And so it's set up, and all these blocks you can't actually click on, but it's set up, and you can see all these things are being generated. So bones, Now the slight problem with this is that the hopper doesn't really keep up with what it's been generated. So I actually want the wither skulls and not these other things, but because it's so slow, it is actually causing a bit of a backlog. But I'm not too worried about that. And then it goes through the import bus into my ME system. And these here, these export because it's taking redstone dust from my ME system and it's taking ender pearls from my ME system. Now this one is exactly the same. As I said, I was using the ether gas for the industrial foregoing mod pack, which is this one, just to create some of the top tier blocks, which we may or may not look at. We'll see. But this one actually has things next to the ingredient importer. So you can see this hopper is next to the ingredient importer because it requires soul stand and wither skeleton skulls to be able to generate the loot from it, which was nether stars. So you can see it's got that, and it's exporting them from the ME system. And then on the other side, and I can actually go down for this, it's exporting the nether stars and that other loot that we saw before. But it's a lot slower, so we may not actually see it come through. The only other thing to mention about this mod pack is that sometimes you need to generate those blocks to be able to go into this system. So for example, and we looked at some of the things in my early base in the very first video where I had those mystical agriculture machines going, which actually create essences. So it creates a fire essence and the nether essence. And those two combined actually make soul stand. So you can see that this one is inputting fire essence and nether essence, and together in the recipe, right, this recipe, it needs 8 nether essence and 1 fire essence, and it creates 16 soul sand blocks. So this machine, or this block here, this crafter, is actually doing this automatically for me, so I don't have to sit at a crafting table and do it. So it's extremely useful, extremely helpful, so that it can automate this. Otherwise I'd need to be putting stuff into it all the time. And then this one's doing the same thing with the wither skeleton fragments that we talked about, which are sometimes useful, but I could actually use them for this because, as I said, 9 of them create 1 wither skeleton skull, so I can actually use that as well. So even if I'm not getting the loot from that one, the skulls, I can actually still use the fragments to get through to there. And that's just about it. Extremely useful, very, very helpful. Does take a little bit of setting up to get it going, particularly to get to the higher tiers, but then it just does everything for you, and you don't need to go and farm forever to get nether stars. Right? But this is kind of a late game machine because you will need to be able to kill 5 withers, which is possibly a little bit easier than it says. I don't know if you're able to see it on the map, but I did create like a cage, and I don't think you can see it, but it's over there somewhere. I created like a cage that wouldn't get destroyed by the withers, and so I could just run in and attack them, and when I got low I could back out and heal again. Okay, I think that's about it for today. I'm going to finish with the little surprise, which I'll just show you, but thanks for watching. I do hope you find them a little bit interesting. This isn't necessarily my favorite thing, but as I said, it was requested, and I'll get to some of these other things that really make things easy or cool in a couple of later episodes. Alright, so let's finish. I'm going to show you a web page. May or may not have something to do with Discord. Make sure you're watching closely. Oh, sorry. I don't know how that got there. I can't actually play the song because I'd get a copyright strike. But there you go. There's your 50 subscriber special. Hope you enjoyed. Enjoy your holidays, everyone. See you next time.